Okay, never mind. Winter only lasted one more episode for now. Thank the holy Moses. As gorgeous as winter wonderlands can look when filmed the right way, a summer background will always be more engaging. At least to me. There's so much more life to it than silly fluff crap. And along with that came more visitors to Sodor as well. Sodor's seaside really attracted the children. This should be obvious since during the summer, travelers go on vacation anyway.
One morning, Thomas was puffing along the line that runs by the coast. His two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, were packed with children going to the beach. Everyone was happy.
Now, as to where the seaside lay was in the area known as Arlsberg, an area we have not seen yet up close. We have seen shorelines in several episodes depicted way in the back, but this is now getting a good view. I would not want to fall out of that engine cab, though. What a drop that would be. But I can only dream of what the view looks like from there, too. Lest we forget our revisiting of Arlesdale Castle and its various geography. That also has nice scenery. As Thomas arrived at Tidmouth Halt Station, he met Percy there.
Hello, Thomas. You look cheerful. They're the Vicar's Sunday School, explained Thomas. I'm busy this evening, but the station master says I can ask you to take the children home. Of course I will, promised Percy.
I don't know why, but Percy's expression says to me that he's zoned out. It almost seemed like Percy was just answering Thomas blindly. Of course I will. What did I just commit to? Later at Dryaw Station, Percy came across Harold in the nearby field. Harold couldn't talk for long, though, because according to him, a storm was headed towards Sodor. But this wasn't the only warning he would get. Shortly after, he would also be warned by Edward at Elsbert Station.
My help's always needed. Mind how you go, Percy. Huh, huffed Percy. As long as I've got rails to run on, I can go anywhere, in any weather, anyhow. Goodbye.
All right, Percy, take it easy. Yeah, Harold may be slightly insensitive, but we already know he means well based on his other encounters like the Runaway episode in Season 2. And you heard how Harold sounded this time, right? Yeah, hold on to that. We'll come back to that later. As Percy finished his journey, he reminded himself to follow through with what he had agreed to do for Thomas. As he returned to Tidmouth Halt Station, Annie and Clarabelle were waiting. Simultaneously, it began to rain.
Percy struggled on past coastal villages and into the countryside. The river was rising fast.
Yeah, this just ain't rain no more. This is torrential downpour of water. If the river running next to the country line rail was gaining height, then there's serious consequences to follow for sure. The stormy weather theme is also a notable cue for this episode. The only weather or season to get its own quasi-theme up until now is anything dealing with winter and the Ghost Train episode from Season 2. This also is a key milestone in the show because this is the first story to involve rain. Everything else was snow or dry weather. And as Percy rolled along, he soon realized that even floodwaters can keep an engine from getting where they need to go.
Oh, hissed Percy, the water is sloshing my fire. I'll have some of your floorboards, please, said the fireman to the conductor. I only swept the floor this morning, grumbled the conductor, but he still helped.
Oh my gosh. Why should this even matter to you, Mr. Guard? You would rather be stuck in the floodwaters? What's wrong with you? Besides, these guys aren't even keeping the floorboards above water. By the time they bring it to Percy's firebox, they'll be saturated with water. I'm sure they'll burn really well that way. Meanwhile, Harold came by with some goodies for Percy's crew, but he didn't know that at first, fearing he would be laughed at instead. When he did find out the package dropped on his boiler was indeed a good luck parcel, he felt much better and was grateful for Harold helping out.
Thank you, Harold, whistled Percy. Good to be of service, replied Harold and buzzed away.
As Percy moved on, the struggle continued, mainly because the water was still sitting high and could at any time extinguish his source of energy. But with one last ounce of adrenaline, Percy made it to the last station. Both Thomas and Top Hat, who were both waiting for him, were fascinated with his determination.
Well done, Percy, cheered Thomas. You kept your promise, despite everything. Harold told me you were a wizard. He said he can beat you at some things, but not at being a submarine. I don't know what you two get up to sometimes, but I do know that you're a really useful engine. Oh, sir, whispered Percy happily.
Good one, Top Hat. I love that comment he made about Percy not making a good submarine. I also like the fact that he acknowledges Percy and Harold having a goofy, oddball friendship. This was a good episode. The moral of not giving up and holding true to one's promise is a significant one. Plus, in the end, it shows that you will be recognized for it. There's lots of small new things in this entry. This was a big accomplishment for Percy in general. Even with the episode before dealing with Percy making a mistake, shows that as silly as he can be of help too. Wait, I just realized, this is the story Percy was telling Bill and Ben about in Percy Takes the Plunge in Season 2. What? That is awful continuity, holy crap. We, the audience, also get our first George Carlin voice alteration. This is what begins to mark the distinction between the UK and US dubs. Aside from a few characters like Donald, Douglas, and even Harold, much of the voices were done so to sound like a storybook where much of the narration is done by the narrator. But here is where characters begin to develop their own voices given by the narrator. Ringo Starr and Michael Angelis did not follow suit in this trend as much. As heard, Harold sounds even snootier than before. He really sounds high-end. Music to this episode had some added cues, one being the stormy weather theme. It's not frantic sounding, but it does emphasize the urgency of the situation. The only other theme heard was Thomas's anthem at the start, which was given a slight tweaking. It's still a great tune. As for set pieces go, this adventure had several areas that were brand new and reintroduced. Elsbridge and Dryhouse Station and the Watermill are all common locations. But the showing of the Arlesdale spots like the lake and castle are all very much welcome. The same could be said for Arlesburg, the seaside, and Tidmouth Halt Station, especially this shot. It is a classic screenshot of Percy and Thomas. Next episode is Time for Trouble. Thanks for watching.